Hey guys, welcome to Doble Sports. The CONCACAF Women's Gold Cup semifinal games were completed on Wednesday, and unfortunately, it did not go as hoped for the Mexico women's national team. They lost against Brazil in their semifinal game. It honestly really wasn't their fault. They lost in a very controversial, very heartbreaking way. There was a 50-50 slide tackle in the 25th minute, and for some reason, VAR referees decided to review it like 3 minutes later, and after 2 minutes of playing. It was really surprising they didn't decide to review it earlier if they did decide to give a red card on it, which they did. And what makes it worse is that the foul resulted in Nikki Hernandez getting a red card when the play really didn't justify a red card expulsion. I'll talk more about that in a bit. But the red card really did change the entire outcome of the game. With Mexico being down to 10 players, it enabled Brazil to completely dominate possession and later on score 2 goals. The game ended 3-0, and Brazil advances to the final, while Mexico is unfortunately eliminated. But that red card, Brazil really did advance to the final in a controversial way. The Brazil team was, jumping off the bench and celebrating the last 2 goals. I mean, they really were goals that I wouldn't celebrate because it was like, congratulations, you scored 2 more goals and won the game because the other team was playing with 1 player less, thanks to a gift of a red card that the referees gave you. Honestly, at that point, scoring 2 goals would be more expected than something to cheer about. So this loss really wasn't the fault of the players. Some have actually argued that head coach Pedro Lopez is to blame for what some fans did consider, playing, timid or, fearful football. Because one of the big criticisms is that he chose to start Diana Ordóñez, who didn't play a whole lot in the tournament and group stage, as well as the decision to start Kiana Palacios, who didn't score a single goal in this tournament. So fans were quick to criticize him for starting 2 players considered unproductive in the tournament. And some fans on YouTube and social media have even compared him to Tata Martino, which I think is a very bold comparison to make. And there have been some extreme reactions saying to fire him as well. And let's be real, and I'll say it right now, I am 100% in disagreement with that idea, with putting blame on Pedro Lopez. Some consider that a main lead defensive strategy was Mexico playing afraid or timid, and specifically the coach being afraid. But as this was actually the strategy Mexico used against the U.S. and dominated in that game, despite only having 38% possession versus the United States. In fact, the starting lineup for Mexico against Brazil was very similar to that game versus the U.S. And if you think about how in the group stage, Mexico did not concede a single goal, and the 2 goals conceded to Paraguay in the quarterfinals were only because the defense was at that point, starting to get tired with, playing more offensively. Essentially, the defense played great the entire tournament. With how great they were playing, it makes sense that he would try a defensive strategy again because he had trust in the defense because they were holding strong. And in this game, the defense held relatively well until the red card. So I don't blame Pedro Lopez for this loss. We shouldn't blame him. I think moving forward, he will want to maintain the strong defense Mexico has right now and seek to develop the offense in the future. So yeah, so far I like having Pedro Lopez as the head coach. I strongly disagree with some of these extreme ideas and comments to fire Lopez for what many people called the wrong strategy against Brazil. He has improved the national team and made the team much more competitive than just a couple of years ago. And this loss to Brazil, fun fact, was actually the first loss in over a year, as the Mexico women's national team went 22 games without losing until this point. And in that time, they won the Central American and Caribbean football tournament and the Pan American Games football tournament. So with the success he has had, I don't think he'll be fired. And I think he will stay for the rest of this 4-year cycle through 2027, where they will hopefully compete in the FIFA Women's World Cup. Hopefully they qualify. That is assuming they, of course, the hosting bid does not work out. So, unfortunately, the Mexico women's national team lost to Brazil in the CONCACAF Women's Gold Cup semifinals. Final score was 3-0. Heartbreaking way to lose, a controversial way to lose. And it unfortunately ended their undefeated streak and strong tournament run. So, here are their grades for this game. Defense, A. The defense was once again holding strong and stopped many shots and cleared out opportunities that the Brazilians had. However, after the red card and having to survive the game with just 10 players, at that point it really did become only a matter of time when Brazil would score. The first goal did come off a goalkeeper error, but that was also at the same time a little unlucky, as the cross into the box area, hit off of the shoulder of one of Mexico's defenders, only to land right in front of the Brazilian forward. Honestly, was an unlucky moment. The second and third goal, again, congrats Brazil. You scored a goal and are jumping and celebrating, woohoo, that you scored a goal after Mexico was controversially down to 10 players. Don't know why you would celebrate that. I wouldn't celebrate, as I figured that at that point it would be rather expected you score a goal given you're up a player. So yeah. Midfielders, A-. They were once again playing on the more defensive side and holding strong with along with the defenders until the red card happened. Offense, B-. They didn't make any major errors, but the team as a whole were down to 10 players, and the offense was unable to contribute, adjust, or really produce anything on the field. So I gotta give him a B- and a lower grade. Goalkeeper, C. The first goal was a major error, and as she tried to punch the ball out but failed. She stepped out away from the goal to punch the ball out of the box area and completely swung and missed. That was Barrera's major blunder in this game. Unfortunately, she will be at fault for that, unfortunately. Outside of that, she did the best she could, trying to, hold her own the rest of the game, being down a player, and the Brazil offense constantly taking chances in the area. So I can't really fault her 100% on the game, but definitely on that first goal, she does have responsibility of that. As an overall team, I'd say it was a C- performance, and they struggled without 11 players. That changed the whole game for Mexico, and you could see once they were down to 10 players, they looked completely out of their element. Referees, F. VAR and the referees, let's talk about that. This was an F performance by them. The refs were bad, and the way Mexico lost was controversial. Well, instead of criticizing the players for a bad game performance, you're criticizing the referees more. Once again, we had a shady CONCACAF, or as fans have joked, a CONCACAF in the dark moment in the 29th minute when Nicky Hernandez was, after an after an unexpected VAR review, given a red card and sent off for a 50-50 play where, while trying to clear the ball away, she unintentionally slid and took the Brazilian forward down with her. Being one of the last players on defense there, it was the right call, and of course I do agree that it was a foul. And a free kick just outside of the box area is the correct decision. And I would agree that you could give, a yellow card there. But that was not in any way a red card foul. It wasn't a blatant tackle where she played the player instead of the ball. It was clear she tried to play the ball. It also wasn't a dangerous play where it was a tackle where the player was at risk of injury, or she came from behind after getting outdueled and took her down purposely to stop her. It was a foul. That was true. I'm not disagreeing with that. But I strongly disagree, and fans have strongly disagreed, that was not a red card foul. Because in the USA versus Colombia game, Alex Morgan was taken down in the same way by the very last defender, stopping a clear scoring opportunity. And that one was in the box, unlike in this game with Mexico. Despite it being a clear penalty in the box and Joarlin Caravalli being clearly the last defender who did not play the ball at all on that play, the Colombian player was only given a yellow card. You figure VAR and the officiating of CONCACAF would follow that precedent for this scenario as well, along with for the rest of the tournament should a play similar happen. But for some reason beyond us all, they decided to grade this foul much harsher, and Nikki Hernandez was given a red card and expelled from the game. This call completely skewed the outcome in favor of Brazil, and the fact that the game was stopped to VAR the play almost 3 minutes after it happened, and after they continued playing during that time, just makes it worse. While it is possible that even without the red card, Brazil could have won in this game due to their strong offense, the fact that Mexico was still holding up well in a 1-0 match when that poor call was made completely skewed the game in favor of the Brazilians and was unnecessary and uncalled for by the referees. CONCACAF refereeing has improved, but it is still nowhere near the ideal standard it should be at, and CONCACAF's officiating has to improve and do better in games like this. There's just no excuse at this point. So, unfortunately, Mexico's amazing run in the Women's Gold Cup did come to an end, and they lost to Brazil in the semifinals. Brazil will, of course, play the U.S. in the final, and it's on to the next phase for Mexico. And they will look to bounce back and continue their growth in the April friendlies, in the April friendly matches versus Colombia and Australia. Moving forward, there are a lot of things that are positive for Mexico and the women's national team. While they were eliminated 3-0 against Brazil in the semifinals, they should be happy with how well they did, given many didn't expect for Mexico to be this competitive. And they should have hope of being more competitive and even qualifying for the Women's World Cup as they continue to improve and develop the young and talented players that they have on the national roster and in the Liga MX Femenil. Well, that is all in this football sports episode. Wasn't the ending Mexican fans hoped for, but the fans are still nevertheless proud to have a competitive women's team and wish them luck in the future. Definitely leave your thoughts and reactions to the game and the referee decisions in the comments below. Leave a like, subscribe to help the channel, grow the channel, and of course help this passion project grow. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.